Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with the Neuroduo. I practice this word because I struggled to say Neuroduo. I don't know why. I want to say Neurodio for some
No, you
reason.
nailed it. You nailed it
Is
first
it?
time.
Okay, so I should just stick on to that. Okay. So I'm really excited to be with Tom and Lauren. I absolutely love your videos. I just want to quickly say hi to anyone that is joining. So we've got a few people in the audience already. Welcome to the Divergent discussion. My name is Karla. I'm a psychotherapist, a registered psychotherapist, and I'm currently doing my PhD here in Portugal. I'm also the clinical lead at Caboose. It's an inclusive, safe online community for neurodivergent people to connect, learn, and thrive with one another. We're built by neurodivergent individuals for neurodivergent people. This is just a reminder that the Divergent discussion is being recorded. I just need to make sure that it's recorded. Yes, it is, and we'll be sending out a copy to everyone who has paid for the tickets. We also have time at the end for audience questions, so please feel free to just drop your questions in the section here on the side, and then we'll get to those. Just a quick introduction. Tom and Lauren are a late diagnosed neurodivergent couple passionate about sharing all things ADHD and autism. So this is my hyperfixation too. I'm really happy that we're going to be speaking about relationships too. I think that's such an important topic in this field. They're still navigating their diagnoses and learning new things every day. While they're not medical professionals, they want to share their experience in the hope that they help others. From the highs to the challenges, they talk about it all because they know how valuable it is to feel seen. They are the Neuroduo. Oh my goodness, I'm just getting it every time now. Thank
Nailed it.
you. Neuroduo that share all their relationship experiences with the world. So happy for them to be here. I am really excited. I just watched a video of you just before we started of success amnesia. And I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is such an important topic, but maybe we'll get there in a little bit. But just to quickly tell the audience what it is, it's when we're so excited and our dopamine just keeps on hitting when we're doing a task or something that we love, like going towards a goal. And then when we actually reach it, it's kind of like the balloon is just kind of
Yeah.
fading out. It's, yeah, it's hard, eh? Being
Yeah.
neurodivergent sometimes.
And especially when before you diagnosed, not knowing what it was, it's kind of like you really question, did I even want to do that goal? Did I want to do that, whatever it
So,
was? But yeah,
mm.
understanding it is helpful, but yeah, it still sucks sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is like we have quite a difficult road as it is
Yeah.
pre-diagnosis because we have all these things that we're like, well, other people seem so much happier when they do all these things and when they reach
Yeah.
their goals. Anyways, let's stick to today's topic. I have ADHD myself, so I have to really try and keep it together. So I just wanted to ask about your story initially, like how
Mm.
you met, your neurodivergence. When did you find out that neurodivergence was part of your relationship? Just tell me a little bit, and the audience, of course.
Yeah, I'll go for this. So yeah, well, when we both met, neither of us were diagnosed as neurodivergent. Neither of us knew really anything about it in terms of how it related to us.
Mm.
I mean, autism probably wasn't a word in my life, in my vocabulary. It was something that I just never in mid years thought. Anyway, it was as simple as we met in a bar on a night out, and it was went on a date, and I mean, it kind of fizzled out. It wasn't at the right time, and yeah, rekindled a few months later, and then it kind of looking back now, we went full ADHD mode pretty quick. We went on about 2 or 3 dates,
Mm.
and there was an obvious connection, which is nice. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit and lockdown hit, um, and my accommodation was ending at the time, and we'd been on like a few dates, and then Lauren took a punt and asked me to move in, and we moved over after 3 dates. So it was in COVID, so we were
In my defense, it was COVID and he was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
leave the country and I was really enjoying getting to know him. So I obviously asked my flatmates, which there was like living with 6 other people at this point, would
yeah,
it be
Uh-huh.
okay if he moved in? Um, and yeah, he moved in and thank God he did because we basically did everything together. Do you know how you could do like your go out for your walks or you could we did exercise with like our shopping bags, like
yeah,
pretty much
Yes.
just got to know each other very quickly, which is um it worked for us really well. But as we were saying, we weren't didn't know we were neurodivergent at that point.
Yeah. And then, so everything kind of got sped along a lot quicker than what it would do in a relationship normally, I guess. And yeah, luckily it worked out for us. And then, yeah, probably wasn't until like 2 or 3 years into our relationship that personally, my mental health really took a turn. I guess we had our own relationship struggles, like most couples do, but there were some things which were becoming harder to explain for people looking in, and even for me to explain it. And I started seeing a therapist, being diagnosed with depression, anxiety, which is very common with people who end up being diagnosed as neurodivergent later. And one of the first things he picked up on was my black and white thought process, which when you're in your own head, you just assume that everyone else thinks that way. And when you don't have a way of sort of communicating with others and speaking about it and finding out what is normal and what's different, I guess you don't get to have that. So started to, I guess, learn about myself in that way. And then after working with the therapist for a while, he sort of said to me, okay, so you've got some autistic traits. I think you should take an online screening test. And I was like, autism? What's he on about? Like, I'm not autistic. I don't fit the stigma. I don't fit the stereotype, which I believed back then. And then I did the test and scored like crazy high. Like,
You got an
like,
A+.
yeah. If it was in school, I would have definitely got a high grade.
Passed with flying
Yeah.
colours.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I scored so highly, and I was like, oh, that's weird, because I can't see another way of answering these questions. Which now looking back actually is a perfect example of autism showing there. And I asked Lauren to do the test because, yeah, sure she would agree with me. And then she scored like super low.
I scored low for the autism test.
And I was kind of like, right. So then that was like the start of being in a relationship, and it kind of everything started taking. Yeah.
But I could also see it like when Tom mentioned that he was struggling. Like my brother's autistic and has ADHD, and I could see kind of some signs and some traits of certain things. So I even said to him when he was in therapy and was kind of trying to figure out what was happening. I would say, "Oh, do you think that you could be autistic?" And that's where it all began. And that was probably how long ago was that? Like
a couple of years ago.
2 years ago. And then sorry, this is very long-winded.
No, it's a really interesting, yeah.
But yeah, so then I I'm not autistic, but I have ADHD. And again, like Tom, I didn't think I could have ADHD. I wasn't presenting how I perceived ADHD to be, like that stereotype of like a naughty schoolboy bouncing off the walls. I enjoyed school. I had a good group of friends and stuff, so I think that's why I enjoyed school. But all these things which you associate with ADHD, I didn't relate to. And then I got into a situation where I was really struggling at work, and I struggled with my manager. I'd never had this before, where I had this kind of really harsh relationship with my manager. I really struggle with stuff like time perception and time agnosia and like decision paralysis, and all of this just came to basically a head. And Tom could see I was really, really struggling, and he kindly offered his ADHD assessment appointment to swap with me, because mine was like months and months and months I was having to wait. And he was like, I can see that you're really struggling, and I think 100% you have ADHD, so let's swap appointments. And yeah, I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. And yeah,
it was interesting. So it was the last thing the psychologist said to me in my autism assessment was that you present a few ADHD traits, and I was like, huh? What are you on about? And then that became my special interest suddenly after that. And then I was just researching and just found out so much information. And there were some things I couldn't explain with autism. And then I was like, oh, this does sound like me. I do have some things. And then, yeah, I was pretty determined to move things forward, and then managed to get an appointment. And then, like you say, Lauren was struggling, so we ended up switching appointments. But yeah, that was probably a year or so ago, year and a half. I mean, we're still not perfect, but we've learned a lot about it and how it relates to us, and like understanding, like Lauren said, that ADHD and autism, I guess they don't have the stereotypes. What is causing the issue in the first place, because we weren't picked up.
Yeah, we always say as well that they're not a look. Like people think we've had it a few times where it's like, oh, what? Like you don't look
Uh,
autistic, or you don't look like you could have ADHD, but it isn't a look, and
uh,
it's something that it's different
It's
for
all
everybody. It's like
internalized, isn't it?
yeah, it's different for
But the
everybody.
sad thing is, I'm not ashamed to admit this, and I thought that all the stigmas, all the stereotypes, everything negative about autism, neurodivergence, is what I felt and my understanding of it was.
uh,
So it took a lot for me to accept myself and see it in that way, and it was
Mm.
a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, and a lot of
uh.
learning. But yeah,
It's a hard process, I find, because sometimes it's a relief for us, but
mm,
the aftermath is like, okay, so now we need to tell our friends and our family.
yeah,
I find it really difficult if somebody questions it for me, because I've received the same diagnosis, same as yours, Lauren, inattentive ADHD, three
Mm.
times because I had an imposter syndrome. I was like,
right,
Okay.
surely
yeah,
I can't be. I can't have ADHD being in this field for 21 years and I didn't pick it up.
Mm.
So I had to do it three
right,
times to believe myself, because I also got the same questions of like, yeah, but you don't look it. You look quite calm. You have no idea how many thoughts go through my mind. So it's more of a, it's like that naughty schoolboy is inside my brain running
Yeah.
yeah,
around and causing havoc with all my systems up there.
Internal chaos, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
I used to
exactly.
get my manager used to say to me, or this is the thing, I would be complimented for how organized I appeared on the outside, and it would be like, I love
Exactly.
how organized you are, how put
You're so
together you are.
calm.
Inside my head, they
Yeah.
wouldn't know. So it's kind of so easy to mask that side of yourself, because
Mhm.
actually that's what people at work and what society wants to see from you. And it's actually quite sad that you feel like you can't just be like, ah,
Yeah, exactly. Like tell them how creative we are inside and what we're
yes,
thinking about. Yes, I can talk about this for ages. This is actually my PhD topic. So it is
nice,
inattention in a woman. So
cool.
okay.
ADHD,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Because
Nice.
there's not enough focus on, like that specific type of ADHD, because
Yeah.
we don't look at it all. And it's not a look. I love that. I think it's more we need to say yes, we don't look it, but we feel it. Like it's a
Mm,
feeling, it's a thought, it's a
yeah,
million thoughts. But yeah, we can talk about this for so long. I was thinking about the what you said about the COVID speeding up the relationship, and now it's like a double whammy, right? So if we're
mm,
neurodivergent, everything is like full on. We're like, well, I'm just gonna tell him everything, and I really enjoy his presence, and I did the same thing, by the way, Lauren. I wasn't smiling because I was judging. I don't judge. That's like the last thing I do on this planet. I did the exact same thing. It was a month though, but I was away for the month, and then I asked my ex, which we this is not anything to do with your relationship. It's beautiful. Our relationship ended though. But it was a 5-year relationship basically from pre
Mm,
COVID. And then COVID hit a month. We saw each other, not even. I was in South Africa, came back, asked them to move in. And it was just like that. So it was like
mm,
the COVID also made it more intense,
yeah.
the COVID, as if it's a person. And then our brains, right? But before I get sidetracked, I want to ask about just your strengths in a neurodivergent relationship. What would you say are some of the strengths?
yeah. I think we definitely got our own personal strength, which is nice because we do complement each other in some ways. I think
Mm,
one of the ones that we share, I'd probably say, is that natural curiosity of just wanting to try new things and understanding where it comes from. It's like chasing dopamine, which is
mm,
obviously not great all the time, but sometimes it does allow you to try new things and go to new places. And those are things we do really enjoy doing and have
yeah.
a good time doing together. So that, like, it can be fun, which is
Yeah.
great.
We always say as well, like, life can be challenging. Like, life has its challenges, but it's definitely not boring. For us anyway, it's definitely not boring. But I would also say, like, we've both got different strengths, as Tom said, that can complement each other. Like, I'm quite creative and I'm quite good in a crisis, but Tom's really good with numbers and logistics and like as the planner of the relationship. So the things that I struggle with, he's actually quite good at, and then vice versa. Because he likes to be organized and know when things are happening, where I'm quite flexible and I'm kind of happy to kind of go along with things. So I don't need to know every little detail, but if Tom plans something, then he's happy because he knows what's happening. So it's kind of knowing each other's strengths as well in order to kind of bring those strengths to life
Yeah, I
in
think
a
for a
relationship.
long time I probably didn't have that awareness of what they were because yeah, the great strengths when you talk about in isolation, but when you put it in a situation, for example, that black and white thought process, which I have, allows me to be organized, dependable, reliable, all that sort of stuff. But then when things are very black and white, and you say a time, for example, if Lauren struggles with time blindness and all that, those two things just don't match up, unfortunately, and some things are out of your control. But yeah, before we didn't have an understanding of that, and it was yeah, definitely caused some tension and frustration.
But yeah, I think as well, like as we were saying, like there is also a lot of fun because we do have that natural curiosity, um, but also just being silly. Like we are 32, so we are grown adults. um, but just keeping that, like we found life can be stressful, but if you just keep that bit of, it sounds simple, but just keeping a bit of silliness, like don't it life can be serious, but don't take yourself too seriously. Um have those important conversations when they're needed, but leave room to kind of like mess about and
Because sometimes, yeah,
things like that.
you probably don't realize that those silly moments allow, I guess, like some tension or
Mm.
whatever it is. You
It's a
that
release.
is a release sometimes. Yeah, just I don't know, just dancing around.
We
Yeah,
both like
even
music festivals and stuff.
Yeah,
So like
oh, no.
music and things like that, and being in an environment that is just kind of gets your, it's like a dopamine, isn't it, as
yeah,
well?
it's all
But
dopamine.
it's all dopamine.
Mhm.
It's always dopamine.
Yeah. I think it's important to even like schedule those in the silly moments because I think we
Yeah,
get so caught up with, I mean, for me, my special interest is neurodivergence. So I work it, I live it, I talk about it. If somebody talks about
Mm.
something else, I kind of zone out. So I need to make sure that I put in my schedule, like, okay, this is my time to zone out, or this is my time to go and do something else that's unrelated, something silly, some like I was telling Michelle, the founder of Caboose this morning, that yesterday I signed up in an ADHD moment. I just signed up for a 3-hour Muay Thai class. So I'm dead, like literally like trying to lift my arms today as a mission. But it was one of those moments where you're just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go with this flow. Like, yes, I'm
Mhm.
gonna sign up. I haven't done Muay Thai in years, but let's go. And it
nice.
was so much fun because I
Yeah,
didn't think about work. I was able to actually just get out of my head for a bit and just do something physical, which is so nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
regret it today, but
I mean, your brain doesn't regret it, but maybe
yeah, exactly.
your
My
body
body,
does.
it's like my body's like, chill, you're 40, like relax. um, yeah, I think there's a lot of positives. I really like the combination. I love the combination of autism and ADHD, ADHD with ADHD because of that. Like you said, the black and white thinking, like the a bit of rigidity plus the
Mm,
spontaneity, and then learning
yeah,
from one another, but really having those conversations too. Because I think if you don't have them, then
yeah,
it can clash. And that's actually
yeah,
my next question: is what are some of the challenges that you found in your
yeah.
relationship?
I think
Because of neurodivergence.
you could have just hit on the head first off.
Yeah.
I think if like in the simple crux of it is a lot of it came uh before we got diagnosis. There was things exactly like you just said that we like one day I'd be like, oh, like up for trying new things and I want all this fun stuff, and the next day it's almost like you got devil on one shoulder and you got an angel on the other. The autistic side of you is then suddenly like, I know I need this structure today, I need this routine, this rigidity. And that's the sort of thing that I couldn't turn on and off. I couldn't control, couldn't understand. And it's brought up a lot of frustration between both of us. And then it kind of pushes you further apart because you can't have those conversations because you don't even understand it
Mm.
yourself.
So yeah, I think a big challenge, and it still remains a challenge. I don't think it's just about neurodivergent relationships. I think this is relationships in general, but communication is a challenge and was definitely more of a challenge when we didn't know that we were neurodivergent. So I think like having that understanding and having the diagnoses and being
Yeah.
able to kind of figure out things ourselves has been really, really helpful, because actually we both have very different communication techniques as well. Like I will talk about this later on, I think, but we went and saw a therapist at some point and we were described as a thunderstorm and a tortoise.
And you probably guess which one was
I
which.
yeah, okay. Okay, tortoise. Let thunderstorm continue, please.
Yeah, and this was all before diagnosis, and like at the time I was like, yeah, that makes complete sense. But it's also, I don't know, I never assumed I never thought I was, because I'm not usually one to like shy away from things, and I like usually like to take things head on. But when things become overwhelming and I can't understand emotions, I understand now that's what takes me into my shell. I guess that's what really
Mm,
shuts me down. So you can imagine
okay. Yeah.
in previous times when a thunderstorm of emotions are coming from Lauren, and she is in the moment, she wants an answer there, and that makes
Mm,
complete sense. And then I've just kind of shut down and I can't communicate. It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
difficult.
tricky to navigate. I think what Tom was saying earlier as well about his black and white thinking, it could definitely cause strain in the sense of if I said I was going to do something, and
Yeah,
in true ADHD style, I struggled to do it, but I
Mhm.
didn't know I had ADHD, so it didn't happen. The thing didn't
Comes
happen, but
across
I'd
as something
already
else.
said it to Tom that I was going to do it, so he would take that very literally, and therefore
Mm,
it didn't happen. And I would always feel like I have to be careful with what I'm saying, because I'm not intentionally not doing those things because I don't care, but how can
mm,
you communicate that when you don't fully understand that
mm,
yourself? So I think yeah, something I've kind of talked about is like, how can you show up for someone when you're kind of barely able to show up for yourself? I think that's a tricky one, because
mhm,
you're, especially when you don't know that you have ADHD or that you're neurodivergent, like you're trying to figure out these things that are happening to yourself, but then when you're in a relationship with someone that's also going through something, how can you navigate that, especially when you both have very different needs? But I think that we've learned is from learning our own needs, we've got a much better understanding of
yeah.
like each other's needs, because we know that we
mm,
need to put in that time and that effort to understand one another to be able to communicate properly.
We definitely,
mm,
I'm probably mention later, but alexithymia was something that I just again never
Mm.
heard of, never understood, and then even when I
mm,
did hear it, I was like, no, that doesn't relate to me.
mm.
Um,
Just
because
quickly, alexithymia, just so that the
yeah,
audience
sorry,
know, yeah, just not understanding your feelings, yes.
yeah,
Not being
it's
able
just
to.
struggling to identify and like understand the emotions and feelings you're within yourself. So you could, in the best situation, you could feel all these horrible things, but you wouldn't know what it is. You'll just feel bad, and then you feel
Mm,
all these good things. You just don't know what it is. It's just good, but obviously, so many things could happen to make you feel that good or bad feeling, and what you can't understand it is infuriating. I just for ages didn't think that that related to me, but then understanding that I do actually need a bit more time to process
Mm,
emotions, good or bad, allowed us to like put things in place as simple as just like, okay, look, we can talk about this tomorrow at 10 a.m. say,
yeah.
because in
mm,
the moment, I all the time I just shut down and
Well, it's the
mm,
tortoise and the thunderstorm again, because for me, I'm the thunderstorm, everyone. And that actually from the outside must just look awful, but actually
mm.
it's due to anxiety, because
Exactly.
it's anxiety driven. I want something sorted as soon as possible. I need it to be gone so that it's
Mm,
out of my brain. And Tom is, as he's mentioned, is the complete opposite. He needs time to really think
mhm,
about his emotions and how he feels in order for him to even process or have a conversation. And so, like our needs back then were not being met. We both had individual needs, and they weren't being met because we didn't know why these things were
mhm,
happening.
but also probably I had a lot of shame with it. I was probably embarrassed to even admit something that I can't identify an emotion in me, which I don't know, I associated it with probably talking back to the stigma and all that. Um, yeah, the stigma and stereotypes, all that, and not really accepting that these things relate to me as well. Because I'm in the exercise world, I can go out and run ultra marathons and all these things, which I can clearly push myself to do things. So I just assume that that would carry over into life in the sense of,
mm.
Mm.
yeah, adult life. But yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, I find this topic exceptionally interesting because there is such a difference in communication styles with all of us, but then
Yeah,
it's heightened with neurodivergence because
Yeah.
there's not just the typical communication styles, but then there's like the more neurodivergent communication styles, which could be very direct. And then for us as ADHDers, inattentive, more the female presentation, it comes across as, oh, okay, so you just don't want to continue this relationship. Like that was always my go-to. I'd be like, well, let's just leave it then. And I would always see it as like, oh, I'm not good enough because we've got all these things, but it doesn't look like it because I come across as quite feisty and like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thunderstorm too. I'm like, oh, so well, let's just leave it then. And that's how it sounds like. But inside I'm like, please don't leave me. Like, don't do it. Tell me that you love me. Tell me that everything is gonna be okay. I think it's, I was obviously dating somebody neurodivergent before, and now I'm kind of dating. And when it comes to holistic brains, like people that are a little bit more holistic and less neurodivergent wired, I don't
Yeah.
know, neurodivergent, I don't think there's a clear like this is neurodivergent, this is
Yeah.
neurotypical. But I think there's kind of like a sliding scale like this. But and it's kind of immersed. But I think when I'm dating somebody that's thinking a bit more typical, I have to be super clear, and I'm doing it
Mm.
now, where I'm like, this is making me feel anxious. You need
Yeah.
to reply to this message. This is, and I even send them the song, that anxiety song.
Yeah.
I just said it. So I'm
Uh,
like, this is, they need to understand. But I think it's really good. The communication, opening up about like what we're actually feeling, what's actually going on, so that
yeah.
we can even look away,
Mm.
and then state the feeling. I
Yeah.
want to ask you about neurodivergent versus not. Do you think it's easier or more difficult to date somebody that is neurodivergent if you are neurodivergent?
Uh, yeah, but I thought this question was
Mm.
really interesting.
It's quite a tricky
I think,
question, I
Uh,
think.
I think, to be honest, I think the crux of it is it shouldn't really matter either way. I think it's
yeah.
more about being with someone who understands and respects you for you in terms of your needs, whatever that looks like. And it can be tricky in a situation where you get together with someone thinking that you're both neurotypical or one's neurotypical, one's not, because you go in and you start to learn all these needs and things that you understand as that's what it is. And then if one of you gets later diagnosed, you've then got to go to this journey of relearning and rewiring yourself. And then suddenly you've got to get all these new needs across in a way which is like I said, there's a lot of shame and embarrassment that comes with it, and you've got to feel comfortable to get these things across. So if in that situation, if a person's willing to listen and to understand, I think it shouldn't matter if you're individual and neurotypical. It's more about
It's about the understanding, I think, because I think
Mm,
if you've got two people like us who are in a relationship and they're neurodivergent, as we've said, you could have very different needs, and you've got
mm,
sometimes very different complex needs, which does and can make things quite complicated. But if whether you're neurodivergent or not, if you have the willingness to learn and understand, I think that's probably the most important part.
yeah,
Because if somebody is stuck in their ways and is just whether they're neurotypical or, because for instance for us with our needs, it's not, we're having to make small tweaks, but we would never, now we know that these needs are quite crucial to just living daily day-to-day life.
mm,
We're not asking the other person to change. We're just having a conversation and trying to be more open with one another.
mm,
Sure, that can sometimes lead to arguments, but arguments is still a form of communication if you break it down. Um,
mm,
and I think, yeah, whether you're a neurotypical or
mm,
whether you're a neurodivergent, I think it's important to have a level of understanding and be willing
mm.
to understand each other.
I really like that. You could see that you've gone through therapy, both of you. Well done. I'm so proud as a therapist. I'm like, oh, this is beautifully said. You can take over my job, because it is like any communication is communication, right? So the way that we act, the way that we argue, the way that we bring up topics, all of these things, and yes, we can definitely optimize a lot of it.
yeah,
Mm,
But it is something that we're trying to convey to the other person.
yeah.
I'm gonna go a little bit faster because I think we're gonna run out of time. I could speak to both of you for ages, so I'm gonna try and keep myself on track.
Okay.
I do wanna talk about communication in general. So you've
mm,
mentioned some things, but what are some neurodivergent specific communication tips or
mm.
anything that you found in your relationship that's kind of worth mentioning
Yeah,
to
I think
me?
For me personally, it comes back to time. It's understanding now that I really struggle and almost can't identify an emotion in the moment. Being able to, not even because of communicate with Lauren, even if I just text her because I can't even get words out, just saying, "Look, can we speak at 10 a.m. tomorrow?" And that for me is taking care of my need, but in the same, it's also taking care of Lauren's need, because her default setting is she needs an answer there and now. She needs to know,
Mm.
and that's what the emotions comes out as. So then when
Can
she
I?
can, yeah,
Sorry for interrupting you. I
no,
do
that's right.
this. I've been good until now, but now it's happening. Can I just ask there? So I love that you said 10 a.m. tomorrow. Like
Yeah,
being quite specific with the time as well.
yeah,
Because if somebody tells me I'll call you tomorrow, this is what a lot of
Mm,
people do in the dating world. They're like, "Oh, I'll see you over the weekend." When? What are we
yes,
mm,
doing? What time? How
yeah,
long do I have to prepare for this, whatever we're doing? So
and
that's
that,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah, that's probably more of a me thing. I need to know. Yeah, what does morning mean? Like, I mean anything from 6 a.m. till 11:59.
mm.
So you say you're going
Uh,
to meet in the morning. We need to be more specific.
Well, actually, to be honest, it really helps. It helps me as well because I would say my understanding of time is I've got an obscure understanding of time.
yeah, it's not
Um,
linear.
yeah, and I always find though, even though I have that understanding of time, I think um I struggle if someone says to me, I'm going to call you tomorrow." I struggle to do anything else until that
Until
happens.
they're cool.
Until actually that happens. So if you're saying to me, I'm going to call at 10 a.m. I know that it's at 10 a.m. and I don't have to kind of do anything before that. It's going to happen at this time.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helpful. And as Tom was saying, I think something like definitely a tip that's really helped us is if you can't communicate verbally, it's not the only like communication. Like if Tom is bent out or becoming bent out and can't have that conversation face to face, then type it out and in your notes on your phone or as a kind of draft message. And sometimes that helps to then go away, read that message, and actually you pick up things that you wouldn't have picked up when you had the conversation face to face. And I found that's
Mm.
really helped, especially in like more heated or like potential arguments or disagreements. If you can actually see somebody's opinion kind of broken down, you also
Mm.
have more room for thought and in kind of how you're going to reply.
We talked about the one simple thing as well I try and do is when it comes to burnout, because that's when everything starts getting worse. OCD gets worse, lexemia gets worse, everything else becomes harder, and just as simple as working with the red, green, orange brain state. And it's not like a complete fix, but a red, probably I probably can't even say red because it'd be that burnt out. But orange is telling me that I'm at a point now where if we do this now, I probably will go into a red state, and then I'm no use to
Mm,
anyone. Being able to say that, look, I just need an hour of myself to do something which is going to help me revive some energy. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, working that way, just trying to simplify it, trying to
Yeah.
simplify where I am on my burnout level.
Yeah, I like that. Like finding out what state you're in so that you can actually have the capacity to have the
Yeah,
conversation. And once you have the conversation, also to kind of realize, okay, what form of communication do I want to have? Like, do I want to
yeah,
write it? My ex and I used to write to each other. That worked really well. So we would
yeah,
be in
mm,
different rooms because he didn't make eye contact. I would find it like, why are you not looking at me? And I know why
yeah,
he's not looking at me, right? But when we're in that state, when we're in the hypervigilant state, we forget that we've been studying neurodivergence for 20 years. We forget
yeah,
all of that. We're just like, well, I need you to not smile when we're having an argument. And then we've lost the topic.
yeah,
We've lost what we're actually needing to speak about at that stage. So we would communicate via text. The only thing that I would caution the audience here and anyone that's listening is I used to think it's a good idea to ask ChatGPT to help us to communicate.
as a
I
therapist.
used to, but I think it's actually quite detrimental because we start thinking, oh, this is the way that humans communicate. Like, I
mm,
hear your point, I validate what you're saying, and this sounds
Yeah.
yeah,
like you're going through something really intense. And it's like that's not actually what we're wanting to say. So yes, obviously always with kindness and so on, but I think stay true to who you are
Yeah,
and try not to be too kind of robotic, because then we lose being human.
yeah. I think and what you said about we lose sort of the point, and that was so true. So probably again pre-diagnosis, definitely probably post-diagnosis when I was starting to accept this. Like the only way to explain it is when if an emotion come over me and we're trying to have a conversation, if it's good, bad, whatever it was, it's just like this fog comes over my brain. Whatever what I was wanting to say is just like disappeared.
Mm,
I could stand in the mirror and practice this thing for an hour before, but as soon as that emotion comes over, it's gone. And I'd get embarrassed and have a shame of having to write things down to have
mm,
prompts to like not present to Lauren, but
mm,
to have a conversation to Lauren. And that was the sort of thing that I just really struggled to accept that I need that as a crutch.
yeah.
But
But that's a
and you
good strategy to
yeah,
write those prompts down.
you come away from it like when after you've had a blow up and it didn't go as you wanted to. You also haven't said all the things you actually wanted to, which some of them probably were nice things.
Mm,
All that comes out is the negative frustration, and it was just like you get in your own head. And it's I think my mental health went downhill because of a lot of that, a lot of trying
Mhm.
to force myself into this, yeah, probably neurotypical, yeah,
I
way.
used to think Tom was just very nervous. Do you know how people don't like public speaking or like just sometimes struggle to say a few things? But I used to just
Mhm,
think that before he got his diagnosis. But again, it all comes down to that understanding, like knowing
mm,
now his struggles. I would never put him in a situation
mm.
where he's gonna have to struggle.
Yeah, and staying curious. I love that. I love that you said that in the beginning as well. It's like maybe it's not a full understanding, but just staying curious about the other person's needs.
yeah.
I think that's important. What about masking in social situations? How do you create a safe space for each other to unmask at home? Do you pick up when the one is possibly camouflaging or masking? And do you mention this, or do you have a safe word to help these situations if needed? It's a long question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I'd probably say in such situation, Lauren thrives. Like she thrives on that energy, she thrives on socializing, and I
Mhm,
really don't. I really, really struggle with it, and for a while, for forever, I'm constantly trying to put myself into this mold of what I thought was me. And yeah, even the early days when we were dating, like I think Lauren struggled a bit when I'd go from being the jokey, chatty person in the group setting, and then we'd go home and I would just crash out and I
mm,
just couldn't even speak with
Mhm.
her, and she would just think that
Well, I remember
yeah,
saying to my friends, like, why I used to think this was before both diagnosed. I used to think, why can't he be himself around me? Because I was
mm,
seeing how he was with his friends or in social situations. And really, what was happening was he was being himself around me when we got home because he was just so burnt out and
mm,
exhausted. But I was thinking that his true self was this person that he was presenting socially.
mm.
So I used
So,
to always say to my friends, like, why can't he just be himself around me? Like, it's not
mm,
like, and yeah, little did we know.
a small tip
yeah,
that I probably has helped me no end, and this is definitely not just a thing. You know, so when you're like leaving to go, you leave in a party, say, and you say bye. In my head, when you go say bye, I said bye and I leave. I say bye and I leave.
yeah,
Whereas Lauren brain and it's very common ADHD. You would say bye and then you start a conversation and then and you say bye someone else, have a conversation, and then before you know
mm,
it, you have another drink and you sat there for half an hour. But when this would have happened before, I would like just I just feel the tension and everything rising in me.
yeah,
But now I'll just without not saying rude, but I will leave. I'll take myself out, and we have that understanding that
Mm.
it's
And,
not rude now for me to do that.
and I wouldn't get
uh,
offended if, like, if Tom went home and texted me saying, I've left, I've gone home, I would know that that's because he was struggling. And sometimes
mm,
in social situations, Tom as well would going to the bathroom multiple times. So, and again, it's just like some people would ask me like, "Well, where's Tom? Where's he gone?" And like back then would have been like, "Oh yeah, where is it?" Like I would kind of be getting rattled by other people, but now
mm,
It's just not a thing. I'm if he's in the bathroom, he's having his space, like leave him to
Mm,
it type thing.
yeah.
And it's more, I
Yeah.
think, and it's simple things like if we're going somewhere where, say, we can't walk to it from our house, then, I mean, we rarely ever drink anyway, but I that's an example of something where I wouldn't drink. So I could leave if I needed to leave. I could then drive home, and
Mm,
might be even if we had a discussion. If we both took a vehicle, so that situation didn't become a heated situation in the moment. And
mm,
then we're having an argument in a sort of situation. I think at home it's probably more like, I mean, it kind of comes pretty naturally now, and it's just less expectations. But it's probably more about creating a space at home which is, I guess, makes us feel rested and comfortable, and whether that's from
mm,
managing stimulus or noises, lights and smells, or just try not to use the big light because it's the one thing that seems to just cause issues for
okay.
me, or certain candle
Mm,
smells, or just, yeah, keeping a good bedtime routine. Lauren's
mm.
forever putting the wheat packs.
Which one?
It's like a wheat pack. You put it in the microwave, and it's almost like it's like
Oh, yes, 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 yeah, like a
yeah,
bean bag. We call them
yeah,
bean
yeah.
bags. Yeah,
We live
that's
in
awesome.
Queenstown. It's very cold here at the minute, and so she's constantly putting this thing in so she can hold it to give it warmth, and
Oh,
it goes in the
nice.
microwave. And microwave is like my arch nemesis. Like
He hates the
if
microwave.
it, when it goes off, it just triggers
Oh,
something
yeah,
inside
that
me. The
sound.
noise, and for some reason where we live now, the microwave, like, when it goes off, and then usually it'll stop, and then if you forget about it, it'll go off again. And I get that, but the current
Yeah.
we have, like, it just goes off, and then it straight away goes off again. It doesn't give you any
Oh,
chance to get it out.
jeez.
So I mean, it sounds small, but
No,
a
it's
simple
big.
something as simple as just like trying to get to the microwave before it goes
Before
off.
it goes
Small
off.
tweaks.
Oh, this is so good, yeah.
Yeah. Small tweaks like
But obviously with
Mm,
ADHD, it's pretty difficult because you put it in, you're like, I'll stand till it finishes, I'll stand till it finishes. Oh, I need to
mm,
do this. I'll clean that up. And
yeah.
then before you know it, you're in the other room.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many good nuggets here that I want to remember, but I'll rewatch this. I think that the sounds is definitely something massive. It
It's massive for
really
me. Yeah.
triggers me. My therapist wants to diagnose me as ADHD because I find a lot of the structure also really
mm,
important. So it is like that push and pull the whole
Yeah.
time. But I think just going back to the party, just before we go back, is it okay if we go a bit over the time? I'm
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Is that
Fine.
all
yeah,
right? Because I'm
go for
getting
it.
anxious about the time, and then I don't
Yeah.
take in everything that you're saying, and it's so beautiful what you're saying. So I really want to
Yeah.
be present here. Thank you so much.
Ah,
Yeah. So at the party, I love the fact that you actually went to the toilet. I do the same thing. So I go
yes.
to the toilet, and it's actually my body because I wee every time I go. It's not like I'm just sitting there. It's actually my body is like saying you need to break. This is my
Yeah.
introception that's like
Yeah.
we're gonna just make you wee all the time. And maybe it
Yeah.
is anxiety and all those things, but it does help me because I can close the door immediately, it's quiet. And it's just that moment to kind of recalibrate, okay, I'm safe, I'm okay. I can touch like a sensory ring or something just
Yeah.
to be like breathe out. That's like my biggest thing as I start tensing up like this in
You feel
social
the tension, don't
settings.
you? Yeah. Yeah. You feel it. And
Yeah,
as
and
soon
then
as
I
I
can
close the
just
bathroom door, and it sounds ridiculous, but I do feel that like tension sort of drain
release.
out of me. But previously, when I was younger, I had that same feeling when I used to drink alcohol, which, like I said,
Exactly.
barely drink anymore. You can imagine how something like that, alcohol, can lead to so many people get undiagnosed,
Yeah.
misdiagnosed, and abused because it provides a similar feeling. And
Yeah.
then one other thing about going to the bathroom, which I find really helpful, like, a lot of the time I go because I need to escape the situation. Like, a conversation is starting to run dry, and I'm like, right, I can't deal with this next part of this interaction, so I need to get out of here. And it is to let my body reset, but it's also then to just give me a chance to like think about what I'm going to do next. Who am I going to speak to? What am I going to speak about?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
if
get
I
a script.
written too much already, like trying to, there's so many things happen in my brain which I just thought everyone did, but now I know they don't.
Mm,
Yeah.
And you need that extra time. Like, and this is why it's a disability, because you have to have, it's
Accommodate.
disabling, isn't it? It's disabling to be in that situation and have to think, like,
Yeah.
almost like trying to think two steps ahead just to
Mm.
survive in this situation, which people call fun.
Yeah, I know, exactly. They just go in and they just do stuff. Now I go with my ADHD side and I'm just like, if somebody, like Saturday night, somebody invited me to a party, and usually I would say, no, 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 that's not enough time because it was Saturday afternoon and it was at
Yeah,
the night, the party, right? And I was just like, just go for it, just go for it. So
yeah,
I'm trying to get myself into those situations with the accommodation. So
yeah.
bringing in stuff that just calms me
Nice.
down. But yeah, no, I can talk to you for hours about this specific topic, I
But
think,
sometimes
like
it's
just
like
the
in that, like
socialization.
you say. I mean, if you're ADHD or if you're ODHD, you have that natural curiosity of you. So if somebody says, "Do you want to come do this thing," which you probably weren't planned on doing, you
Yeah.
get that dopamine. You're like, "That sounds fun." And I learned that you can't always have once you the dopamine, because the dopamine will always come because the thought of something new happening. You can't always go with it. You've got to work. Like for me, I've got to then look back at seeing my energy levels, what they actually are.
Mhm.
Because if I go to this thing every time,
You're gonna
I
crash.
will just crash and burn.
But can I add something? I feel as well, so like we're talking about obviously social situations mainly here, but just you do struggle in social situations, but it doesn't mean you're not a social person.
No.
I think that's really important,
That is important, yeah.
because you do like to, I don't know if the word socialize is the right word to use there, but you do like doing things in certain situations. But as you were saying, Carla, that you brought things into the mix to help you in those situations. So it's the same with Tom. Like he would use earplugs for, like I said, we
Yeah.
like to go to festivals and stuff, but obviously there's an overwhelm of noise at these places. So having these accommodations is what is kind of having to happen in order to kind of do these things. But
Yeah, because it can be quite.
Yeah.
You can sometimes get in your own head of thinking, "Well, that social situation went terribly last time. I'm never going to socialize again." And that's
Mhm.
the sort of thing that I would live and die by. Like it was kind of
mm,
black
Yeah.
and white as it was. And I think that because the highs can be so high and the lows can be so low that you can meet someone new, have a conversation. They start showing interest in your special interest, say, and you're
Mhm.
just like, "Holy shit, this person is
Mhm.
amazing!" And you just have the most amazing 10, 15 minutes, and you have all this amazing feeling in you, and that's high. But then, like I say, you can come back out of the bathroom and everything could just turn on its head. And
Mhm.
it's just, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns,
Yeah.
which is obviously for an autistic brain is pretty difficult.
I think yeah, that's the flip side of it is that if we decide that it's too hard for us, that we don't do the socialization, that we don't get out, and so many of my clients are actually struggling with that because
Yeah,
they're like, okay, well, then I'm just not going to do it. And it seems safe because we're in our house and this is our safe space, but we forget how good it is to also be energized by others
yes,
that have the same interests. So we just need to find those social settings. I want to book you guys again for another talk on just that, but I do want to get through some more questions because otherwise I'm gonna keep you too long.
sure.
Okay, so we have spoken about the balance of individual needs. I don't think we need to cover that, but just if you have any routine systems or relationships hacks or any day-to-day life tricks that make it easier, I don't know if you want to touch on that
I think
topic.
the first one, well, the main one for I'd say for us, and it's not a hack, it's simple, but exercise is the biggest thing for us,
Yeah.
whether that's together or separately. We always seem to come back to with a clearer head. And
yeah.
yeah, and we are big advocates for exercise and even just movement or just the outdoors in general for neurodivergence
Yeah.
and finding a way to escape
We
our busy brains because, yeah,
Yeah.
running is a big one for us. Like
Nice.
exercise in general, yes, is great, but for me, my ADHD brain is, as you know, Carla, it is chaotic, it's loud, it's there all the time, it doesn't shut
Mm,
off. It always is telling me that I have something that I need to do, even if I don't. And this always
mm.
has like a sense of urgency. But when I run, it is quiet. Like it
Oh,
is
that's so
honestly,
nice. Oh, it's giving me
it's like
what do you call it? Chicken. I always call it chicken pox. What do you call it when your hair goes up?
yeah.
Goosebumps. Yes, it's giving me goosebumps because it's so
You don't want to get
nice to
chicken
just have
pox.
that feeling. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no chicken pox for
honestly,
me. That feeling
yeah,
of
it's
like that's
this
diving
feeling.
for me when I go
Yeah.
underwater. I'm just
Yeah,
like, oh, the world is
Quiet, isn't it?
still. Oh,
And
so
it's like,
nice.
it's
yeah,
important.
when you're in it, you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, why don't I do this more often?" And then you
Yeah.
get home and you suddenly, and then everything else, you can just like, if you're in a bad brain headspace, you can start overthinking things. And we're talking about running, and running, I think what I've worked out in terms of socializing, that's kind of like trying to make your interest or something you have an interest in into a social situation so you feel more comfortable. So for me,
Yeah,
going to a run club or going for a run with someone is way easier because
You're
we're doing
doing
something
it.
which I can
exactly.
relate to. And then
Yeah, you
simple
can.
things like we have a big planner in our house, what we like a whiteboard planner, which really helps Lauren to get things down on. And just having a whiteboard to like, sometimes it's nice to be able to tick something off. When you have a whiteboard, it could even be these things like buy
Mm.
bread or whatever it is. But that dopamine you get from just crossing it off or wiping it off is
But
like,
not even that. I think
it's
as
awesome.
well, Tom is very good at, I think it's called chunking.
Yeah.
And he
Putting things together. Yeah.
like breaking things down. Whereas I would like create a
Oh,
to-do
yeah.
list and it would just be like bam, like if he's
Yeah. Mine was do PhD. I'm like, how do they? That's like sugar on the to-do list.
right, children's book. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like maybe just find a name for the
yeah,
children. Can I
so
just quickly open for the cat? I'm
yeah.
sorry. She's
Can
so
we see
loud.
it?
Yeah, love.
Oh. Quick, 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 quick. Oh.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
hungry.
she's super loud.
Oh, she was
Oh.
there. I can see she got a speaker on.
What type
She's
of cat is she?
oh, I don't know, street cat. She decided that she owns me now. And then I have a dog too, but he's like sleeping. I don't think you can
Oh
it's just
yeah.
you can just
Yeah.
see his face like hanging down. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, no,
my
I
god.
have got a little zoo here.
We don't
Yeah,
know.
But yeah, chunking is like,
yeah.
I mean, I never used that term, but it sounds pretty good. But yeah, bringing things down into smaller, manageable things, you know, overwhelmed. And
You're
Yeah.
very good at
yeah,
that.
and again, that was something that I just had a lot of shame and embarrassment for because I don't know, it's just something that I don't know why I did have embarrassment for it, but I did because she could give me a problem and suddenly I come up with 4 bullet points. But I don't
Such
know,
a
it's probably
strength.
which
We need this. We
yeah.
as ADHDers need this because we're
Yeah, I
like,
think
where do
what it
we
was
start?
because you do something like that in the past when in school, like we got a lot of trauma, and
Uh,
you'd get ridiculed or you'd get said, "Oh, that's weird, man," or something which is just like derogatory. So that trauma lives with you for a long time, and like it can easily get triggered. So yeah, there was things that were just a
yeah.
word could an RST is huge for us. That tone of voice.
Yeah.
Soon as tone of voice changes, it's like yeah,
Yeah.
I think also a big thing is just back to the running is I guess it's not really a hack, but um we are quite lucky that we have very similar interests and we actually do quite a lot together. So like we signed up to running events, we've ran ultra marathons, like supported each other. Like I think that really helps like a relationship to grow as well, especially when that element of support is there because we're supporting each other kind of with our mental health and with everything else that it's nice to do it in a fun kind of environment, if that makes sense as
Yeah,
well.
I really like that the exercise is so important for any
yeah,
person with mental health, anything. But I
yeah.
think also just doing that to get out of our own heads. I was speaking to somebody yesterday at the Muay Thai about the cold water plunging that I'm doing. Sorry about the noise. She's super. Kika, can you
Hello.
please relax? Like
He wants to be
she's
part of it.
wanting to sit where the dog is. Like she's like,
Do you
this
Oh,
is
speak
now my
do you speak Portuguese to her? Do you speak English to the
Uh,
cat?
well, yeah, she's well, different languages. When I'm really angry, I go into Portuguese. I'm like, para. Kika, can you stop, please? But anyways, no, she's bilingual, so she understands that
hello.
I'm irritated in all languages. But yeah, so with the cold water plunging, because it's such a shock to our system, right? Because
Mm,
it's our nervous system is like, wait, what just happened? We literally can't think while we're in that state. You know, we're
Yeah.
mm,
like we're just trying to survive,
Well,
and
yeah,
that's
it
not
is, isn't
with
it?
our brain. So it's
Yeah.
like, so that was really good, like going to the sauna, going to the cold
mm.
water, and I didn't even feel like I had ADHD in that moment. So
Yeah.
I think,
I
yeah,
don't
anything,
I'm definitely big
yeah.
advocates for that. And but it's really cold where we live at the minute. So it's always that like trying to get yourself out the door and trying to go for a cold water plunge when it's -2 is it's a bit more difficult to do.
Oh yeah, no,
But
of
it's always that
course,
like the simple thing of if I look back to any exercise I've done, any walk, anything I've done, you every time you'll feel better afterwards than you did before,
Mm.
unless something drastic's happened. But
exactly.
99 times out of 100, you will.
And it doesn't have to be extreme. It could simply be stepping outside for like a 5-minute walk.
Just
Like
feeling the
Yeah.
sun on the face.
generally does help.
Yeah,
Or
let's not
anyway.
push the Muay Thai for 3 hours and the
Yeah.
cold water plunging. That's just my ADHD in
That's
a
ADHD,
nutshell.
yes.
Okay, all right. Kika, you need to stop now, please, because this is not your interview. This is our interview. What about like the external pressures from family and friends, like what your relationship should look like and how life
Hmm.
should look like? How do you deal with that? Because I find it quite tricky when somebody says, "Oh, you're 40, you don't have kids, you
Yeah.
know, all these things, you live by yourself, you have two
Yeah.
animals that are quite high maintenance." Like, you know, well, how do you deal with that? How do you shut them up?
I think external pressures for us as well came before we were diagnosed, and it was about kind of like appearing as the perfect couple. Like I used to feel like this pressure of having to like present a certain way as a couple, which then actually it was hard because
Yeah, it was not fun.
why are we doing that? But like we now understand again each other's needs, so we're not kind of forcing ourselves or each other into those kind of uncomfortable situations where just it sounds ridiculous, but we are now kind of, especially with one another, just ourselves. And I think like family and friends, I think we're quite lucky that they have a level of understanding. Like as I said, my brother is autistic and has ADHD, and my mum and dad kind of have a deeper understanding of things like that. And I don't personally, I don't feel pressure from my mum. Maybe because she wants grandchildren. That is definitely a
No,
definitely
that's a big one.
a pressure.
I think
Yeah.
I probably feel more pressure. And I think we live in New Zealand, and a lot of family lived in the UK. So there's a bit of a disconnect that when I lived in the UK, and it's not true. I wasn't autistic. I obviously was because you're born autistic, but I wasn't diagnosed. I didn't present as autistic in the sense of how I live my life. And yeah, and lo and behold, I got diagnosed as depression and with anxiety. So that was the outcome. But then we live here now, and we've worked out how to be ourselves and what we need, I guess. But it's interesting when we go back to the UK, how do we go back to our previous selves, or do we
Sure,
like,
that's a difficult question.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not something we do every weekend. So it's like a once a year type thing.
I
But
think it,
yeah,
yeah, that must be tricky to like go back and then they remember the old versions of like you
yeah,
camouflaging probably a lot more and
yeah,
thinking that it might just be, oh, I'm just thinking black and white, but now you understand it's actually a characteristic.
yeah,
You know what I found interesting is with the diagnosis comes the understanding of, well, it comes from somewhere. It's
yeah,
just you know, it's hereditary. So
yeah,
then
Mhm.
you start thinking, okay, well, my dad did do this, my mom is doing that. And
yeah,
that might be an idea to get them to just like hush a little bit and do some
yeah.
introspection.
There's Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to having, if you've got the right people around you, if you've got supportive people, regardless of friends,
Hmm.
family, whatever it is, it's about
Uh,
people being supportive for who you are. I think
Yes.
there's some friends that I was friends with for a long time in life and probably not friends with now. Um, probably, yeah, we might grow apart over different things, but also might not. Deep down, would I feel supported in some things that's happened? I'm not sure, and that might have
Mm,
added to that. But yeah,
yeah.
I think it's
I
all to
think,
do with the people around you.
and also finding your specific tribe, like finding
Yeah.
your family, creating your own family. I mean, not throwing away your family, of course. That's what people always think therapists are like, yeah, it's your parents' fault. And we don't say that in therapy all the time, I promise. But I want to skip ahead a few questions and I want to go over to one more important topic. And then I have like two or three really quick questions for you.
Yeah.
But the one topic that I found super interesting, and I want to do a series on this actually with my own content, is to focus on intimacy. Is there something that you find really specific, neurodivergent specific, that you want to bring up? I know it's a tricky subject,
Yeah.
but I just know from my own life, I have to speak about it because it's so quick. I don't know if either of you have like a PDA profile, but I've got a persistent drive for autonomy profile where
Hmm.
previously known as pathological demand avoidance,
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
or the more clinical term where I want to do things on my own way. And if somebody tells me, or if they even insinuate, and I can smell it, I can smell when somebody is like, oh, it's time for getting intimate, then I'm
Yeah.
like, nope, and I'm turned off.
Yep.
Yeah, and it
Yep.
is.
So
Yeah,
is
you
there
can
anything like that?
be. No, we completely agree. You could even be in the moment, and then something could get said,
Tone of voice.
tone of voice changes, and then suddenly
Yeah. A
RSD takes
look.
over. Yeah, and
Anything.
you're
Yeah.
gone. And I think probably understanding again, not so much love languages, but sensory differences, preferences. I think I've struggled with touch as a sense, and I didn't know that for a long time. So
Whereas
obviously, Lauren really needs touch, and kind
I'm
of
the
have
opposite.
that disconnect. And she's like, You're not touching me," and then like, "Why do you not love me? Why do you not?"
That
Mm,
RSD kind of kicked in, but I didn't
mm,
know it was RSD, so I was very like, "Oh, well, you're not giving me a hug, like, you're not
mm.
kissing me. What you mustn't love me," that type of conversation to yourself, but
Comparing to the typical way of
Yeah,
relationships again. Yeah, that's what we
and then
do because we're
yeah,
like,
and then
oh,
you
the
also
fairy tales, they hold hands.
the
And
fairy tale
yeah,
exactly, and
and
then
what you see on TV, what you see, like, you read in books, like and do you know when they say in like, on TV when there's, like, a sex scene or something, and you're
mm,
like and what you think is like, "That isn't real." Like, what happens
mm,
on it's just not real, like, very clearly staged, but it's, like, the expectations again from
mm,
society, and
yeah,
I think that's quite hard because, like, you need to find out what works for you and what works for both of you at the same time. And I think, yeah, with me liking and needing touch and Tom then kind of struggling with that, you then
mm,
find
there's a big
other ways.
disconnect, isn't
But
it?
you find other ways
Yeah,
and
mm,
I think another struggle probably was, and we talked about earlier with alexithymia, me not understanding emotions, and like there's things where Laura might see it as an intimate moment, and I'm stood there stone face, not because I don't know, I don't even know in the moment. It's just
yeah.
like I'm just existing, and that is this is
Mm,
more disconnected. It's push you further apart.
but then when you then are extremely intimate or you have these intimate moments, it does make it extra special. I know that sounds
mm,
cheesy and corny and you're probably going to
no,
feel
nice.
embarrassed, but like it does. It makes
No.
it feel like that because you
You know how, yeah, you know what
yeah,
effort goes into it. I guess,
yeah.
Yeah, you worked on it. Yeah, exactly. It's like
We've
anything.
even we've even talked about before like scheduling intimate moments. Like
Mm,
life is busy and especially in an ADHD brain, you think you've got bloody 10
yeah.
things to do every hour. So it's kind of like scheduling that time where you're away from things that are going to be
Mm,
distracting to you, things that could add sensory overload, create a safe place for
mhm.
each other. Like, just I think there isn't any shame if you can
No.
schedule things in.
Yeah, no,
and
I did that. I scheduled
yeah,
my intimate moments for sure. But I probably didn't schedule it in enough
Mhm.
yeah,
according to the other person. So it should be it needs to be a discussion, right? Like
yeah,
Yes.
again, a conversation to say, okay, what are your needs? What are my needs? And then it doesn't need to be a schedule where it's like, okay, every whatever we
Yeah.
are going to have sex. It
yeah,
could be we're going to just spend time together,
yeah,
Mm.
like really quality time where there's like low demands in the environment, and it could be like leading into something nice, and it
yeah,
could be
Yeah.
just a kiss or whatever.
yeah.
It doesn't need to be. Yeah, I think it's a really good point of view to bring it
I mean,
into.
talking about
Yeah.
the black. This is one thing I struggled with for ages in terms of relationship. Is that whatever, like, and it links back to RSD, but whatever the moment is, whatever's going on, you could be feeling happy and like think this is amazing, and then as soon as something bad happens, because of that black and white thought process,
Mm,
it's like it's gone. Like, the relationship's over. Like it's brutal as that, and it sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud. And it sounded ridiculous. It didn't sound ridiculous in my head for so long because that's
Mm.
natural natural hardwire, I guess. But being able to like actually speak about that and not be judged, I guess, and just
mm,
say, look, this is actually how I feel. This is how
Mm.
it feels to me when we have an argument. This is how it feels. And
mm,
that's why then I don't want to be intimate. I don't want to spend time, whatever it is, because
yeah.
I feel like it's over. And it's
Yeah, I think that's such a good point to just pause on for a split second, because we do have that moment where we're just like, well, it's all broken now. You
yeah,
know, that's it. That's done. And it's because we're so overwhelmed. Yes, it's the rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, but it's also that overwhelm of emotion, emotional dysregulation that we're feeling. We're
yeah,
flooded. Our brain is
yeah,
completely flooded. I think it's really important there to say, okay, we don't have to have like, we don't need to be intimate, but we can still hold hands. We can still watch a movie, because then it doesn't go from cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
which in the beginning of a relationship is obviously very difficult, because
yeah,
I do that a lot, where I'll be like, well, I just can't even look at you now. And it's
yeah,
like, whoa, like we just went from close to being intimate to like, this guy disgusts me. It's like, okay, let's just find the middle ground here. Still have that moment. You don't have to look at him, but you can hold him. You can like touch his shoulder. But okay, so looking ahead, I want to just get to your goals as a relation for your relationship and modeling it for neurodivergent individuals in general. Are there anything that you wanted to touch on, your hopes and your goals? And then I have two really quick questions for you.
I think this is very generic, but it's kind of, we've come a really long way, we think, in terms of where we are at. We've been together for over 5 years now, and I feel like our communication is getting better and getting better. And it don't get me wrong, it's still something that can go a little bit ski with, and you do need to work on things. But it's we want to be able to just keep continuing to kind of support one another, especially around each other's needs, because especially, as you know, with women, you've got things like the menopause to look forward to, you've got pregnancy, you've
Don't
got
remind me.
hormones, all of this stuff, and life changes very quickly. And I think um if you've got each other to be able to kind of adapt and help each other through those times. And I think as well, just continuing, we are consistently learning. We've learned so much
mm,
since we've been diagnosed. And that's why we created Neuroduo, the platform, because it was to educate ourselves. And it's been amazing that this kind of community has come from that. And we really, really appreciate it, because we've learned so much from other people. Um,
No.
and just kind of continuing to be advocates for um, neurodiversity, and just kind of connecting again with people like yourself. And we have a lot of growth
yeah.
still,
Because
but
it can be very negative. You get in the wrong,
Mm.
yeah, the wrong people, wrong space, whatever it is. It can go one or two ways, and in the end, just hopefully try and do our bit to make neurodivergence be seen a bit more
Um,
positively.
yeah. Well, you're definitely doing that with your social media pages. So I
Thank
love
you.
what you're doing on your videos, and I think everybody should definitely go and check it out.
Thank you.
Just, I wanted to just ask quickly. So two quick questions. Jordy is asking, how did you meet? I think you said you met at a bar, right?
an Irish bar in New
Irish bar.
Zealand.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute. It's always at the Irish bar. If your relationship had a theme song, what would it be?
I think it would be Unwritten
Unwritten.
by Natasha Bedingfield.
Which one?
Because Unwritten, if we
I don't
sang
know
it,
it.
we're not going to sing it, but you would know it.
Oh, I definitely need to hear it now. There we go.
No,
Like
I'm
lip
not singing,
syncing
unfortunately.
it.
But it's
I'll
called
listen to it.
Unwritten, and I think because we kind of got together and we thought we had, this is how a relationship should be, and then sort of written our own rules and not following the
Nice.
the written
The
rules.
norm, yeah.
That's awesome. So it's not Back in Black. I hit the song. Not that one. No.
No,
I'm talking about Black and White now. I'm just going like AC/DC in my head.
I mean,
Okay. Could be the backup theme song.
like,
No, but I'm definitely gonna listen to Unwritten by.
Natasha Bedingfield.
Okay. Oh, I
It's
do
an
know
absolute
her. She's
belter.
a
It's like,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
yeah.
great song.
It's a proper
Okay.
belter.
Sing
Okay.
in the shower.
I'm definitely gonna sing it off to this. Okay. And then what's one quirky or funny Neuroduo, got it, moment that perfectly sums up your relationship vibe? What would
Yeah,
you
I think
say?
we've talked about like silliness and all that
That's right.
stuff being part of, like, for us of a good way of like whatever it is,
Releasing stress and
connecting, whatever
yeah.
it is. We had a party last year back in the UK, the first time Lauren meeting my family, and I mean it was like 3 a.m. We'd been up drinking and whatever, like people around, and had a party, and then
I think it was for your birthday.
yeah. Anyway, we just started wrestling, and we were wrestling.
Legit wrestling. No intimacy
Who
involved.
won?
And then in the bedroom, there was Mum's got these
Mirrored
mirrored
wardrobe.
wardrobes from floor to ceiling, and Lauren threw me off the bed basically, and the mirrors just shattered. And then we had to then explain to my family the
I have
next
to
day.
awkwardly explain to his mum, I'm really sorry we broke your mirrors because we were wrestling, and they were like,
So
wrestling?
everyone was
What?
obviously like, "Are you sure you're
They're
wrestling?"
like, sure.
Yeah, and we're
They're
like,
like,
"We generally were wrestling,"
okay.
but obviously no one
This is
believed it.
hilarious.
Yeah,
But you know what? This is actually perfect because they said it's bad luck, and obviously it isn't. Like, this is just how different we are as neurodivergent couples. We're going to break all your little sayings or your little metaphors. We'll show you we can do it. That's awesome. I love that. I love that you wrapped up just like that. We don't have more question time, but I think we covered the questions. Thank you
Awesome.
so much for all of this. I absolutely love meeting you. It feels like I've known you for years. It feels like
Yeah,
we're
that was
already
awesome.
like friends. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just going to, thanks also for going over time. I don't want to spend
No,
more
good.
time of your precious time. So I'm just going to quickly wrap up. Thank you for being here. You've been great. And then this is just a reminder for the audience that we have a range of divergent discussions coming up. We will have Rebecca McCash, what a cool surname, on next week to discuss supporting well-being for neurodivergent people, which I think is also a very important topic. You can get those tickets through Humanitics if you head to the website or the Caboose app. And then a reminder that if you have a paid ticket that you'll get a recording sent to you. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. I really
Awesome.
loved
Thank
it.
you. Lovely
Thank you,
to
Karla.
meet you. Thank you so much.
Same.